Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mine, too, are at least the first one, the subject matter. Secretary Colby, is it correct that the administration is justifying the ongoing military operation against Iran in part because of the urgent threat posed by Iran to U.S. forces in the region and the perceived future threat of Iranian ballistic missiles to the U.S. homeland? Yes or no?
From a general perspective, I wouldn't comment on the legal rationale, but certainly from a general strategic point of view, absolutely.
Absolutely. So your 2026 National Defense Strategy downgraded the Middle East and didn't label it as a core strategic theater on the same level as the Indo-Pacific and the Western Hemisphere. Is that correct?
I think we said that we were very clear-eyed and specific about the threat posed by Iran and by its missile program and the potential for a resumption of its nuclear program after Operation Midnight Hammer and the need to give the President options working with our
But on the
allies.
core strategic theater question, it was the Indo-Pacific and the Western Hemisphere that should be the focus.
The overarching focus of the American military, obviously, is the Homeland Hemisphere and the First Island chain, and the Middle East is part of
that.
The
that's
part.
how I read it. So when that was drafted, did the administration believe, as it claims now, that Iran was close to having a ballistic missile capability that could threaten the homeland?
I defer to my intelligence community colleagues on the specifics of that kind of question, but obviously the administration, I think I can speak for the administration as a whole, thinks that the Iranian missile program is a very serious threat.
How about you?
To be dealt with. Yeah, I think the Iranian missile threat is a serious threat.
So you believed that Iran was close to having a ballistic missile capability that could range the United States?
I think I'm talking about the general threat of Iranian ballistic cruise missiles, one-way attack drones that we're seeing right now. Exactly this.
Yeah, but those are different.
Yeah, no, I would just defer to your Senator. You're asking.
I'm talking about something else. I'm talking about a missile that could, that exo-atmospheric that could get to the United States.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not trying to be evasive. I'm saying I think on that question I would defer to intelligence community colleagues. The threat posed by Iran is not limited to any. Whatever the status of that is, which I think would be at a classified level.
So it sounds like you didn't know of anything that could range the United States or close to it. So here's the thing. I'm trying to understand whether you believe Iran can be primarily contained by our regional partners, which is what you wrote a few weeks ago, or is it an imminent threat to the United States, as President Trump, Secretary Hegseth, and Secretary Rubio have told the American people over the last few days? Can't be both.
Well, the strategy had in mind the Operation Midnight Hammer. Obviously, in the past, it was written before Operation Epic Fury, but we fully anticipated providing the President with credible military options to deal with the Iranian threat.
Because,
in concert with
but
our allies and partners,
here's the thing,
yeah.
Mr. Secretary. None of us here heard about Iran having missile technology that was that advanced, being able to range the United States, or being close to obtaining a nuclear weapon. I mean, the last thing we heard from the President on the nuclear weapon before, this war, as he calls it, was the Iranian nuclear program was obliterated. That means completely eliminated, gone for good. That's what obliterated means. And then on Saturday, this administration started a war on that basis, inconsistent with the document that I think you're responsible for. And now, at least 6 U.S. service members have paid the ultimate price based on this notion that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States, to the homeland, and to our military. And many more are risking their lives right now to eliminate a threat that 6 weeks ago, when you published that document, you didn't really believe existed.
Senator, I think it's demonstrably untrue that the strategy didn't countenance the potential for the President to use military force against Iran. In fact, it appears several times.
Could you speak into the microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry. Senator, I think it's demonstrably untrue that the document didn't countenance the provision of credible military options for the President to use force again. In fact, it specifically refers to that on a number of occasions. So, obviously, I think the military campaign that's underway, Operation
Epic Fury, wouldn't you think that would be a primary theater that we would be focused on in the document if that threat that imminent threat to the homeland existed?
I think the document countenances the employment by the president of military force in globally as part of the strategy.
Well, I'm about out of time, but I think it's important to say that we've seen this playbook before. It's what dragged us into a war decades ago, a bloody war in Iraq. And Secretary Colby, I think if you intend to avoid this mistake again, I think we got to rethink about how we need to be really straight with the American people about what's going on. Thank you.